Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel of your favorite, or soon-to-be favorite, Bookworm Twink Supreme. If you love books, and if you want to see this twink talk about them, I highly suggest looking for this button and fingering it. Also, while you're down there, I highly suggest looking for the bell and hitting that too, because if you hit that bell, YouTube, this magical platform that you are watching this video on, will notify you about when I post new stuff. It's free, it's fun, join the family, it'll raise my self-esteem, assuming I don't piss you off with this video, because today we're gonna be doing some spicy things to spice up the life and probably anger some people, which is the inevitable consequence of voicing your opinion. What am I on? It's probably the sleep deprivation, 10 out of 10, don't recommend, but we are here anyway to ensure the longevity of this channel, because apparently, the more you post, the more your shit gets recommended. My hair's a mess. Can you tell? Can you ignore my hair? Can you like literally just ignore my hair and pretend that it's not doing what it's doing right now? Because right now we're just not serving put together human being. No. Right now we're serving, fuck mess, which I am. So today I'm gonna be talking to you about a bunch of books that I did not like, but that a lot of people seem to like. I came up with this idea by seeing it done by somebody else, and I was so inspired that I did it myself. I wrote a list 3 seconds ago, and I'm gonna pull some more out of my ass if I just happen to think of any other books, okay? Okay, so let me just pull up my notes over here, which I'm probably gonna look at. So just in case you feel offended, I'm the kind of person that has struggled maintaining eye contact in real life. This is just how I am when I talk to people in the real world as well, because we keep it f***ing real here. Alright, so let's piss people off. So the first book that a lot of people loved, apparently, that I disliked so much. A lot of people deem this book to be a masterpiece. This book is very acclaimed, but it's not acclaimed by me. And that is Dune by Frank Herbert. And I could go on and on and on about how garbage I think this book is. If you happen to like it, good for you, honestly. So in my personal opinion, this was just not good at all in any way, shape, or form. I actually have a full video explaining my thoughts on this book, so I'm gonna link that video down below, so make sure to watch that if you're curious. It's got no spoilers. So Dune by Frank Herbert is basically Game of Thrones in space, and that's pretty much all you need to know about the story. You've got noble families going to war, and resources, and villains, and trickery, and treachery. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I did not like this book. I thought it was very boring. It moved at a slow snail's pace. It was just so overwritten. I don't care about the way Frank Herbert wrote this story. So much exposition and info dump, excessive world building overkill. This was just not for me in any way, shape, or form, and I'm just done talking about this now. So yeah, Dune, not for me. The second book I hated, actually, that a lot of people seem to really love, especially on Goodreads. The score for this book on Goodreads is why I chose to read it, in addition to various friends recommending this book to me, and that is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Oh my goodness. This book was so bad, I unhauled it. I just did not connect with any of the characters. I did not connect with the story. The beginning of the book really worked for me when she was giving the speech in her dad's funeral, and I'm not gonna say what that speech went like, but that moment was pretty epic. If you know, you know. This book was so torturous to read that it put me off straight romance books forever. And I honestly don't think I've read a straight up romance book with a heterosexual couple since this book. And I read this book in 2016, I think. Yeah, just an absolutely not. So the next book I'm gonna talk about is a horror book that I kind of had not much expectations going into this because it was free on Audible, so I assumed that it was gonna be average at worst. I was so wrong. This is the worst book I read last year. Like, the worst book I read last year. Not even kidding. Bar none. Nothing was worse than this. And that is the Amityville Horror by Jay Anson. We follow a family who moves into a house that some murders had taken place in, I think. I could be wrong, because this book made no impact on me whatsoever. So murders happened, the house is haunted, there is a demon pig, there is sludge in the walls, there is blood in the basement, there is a haunted marching band at one point, there's footsteps in the snow. Literally what this author did was he went into a focus group and he asked the focus group, he was like, hey, what scares you in life? What scares you as a person? And he wrote down every single thing that they said in that focus group, and he assembled a list of everything they said and assembled a very flimsy story around all their answers, so you have a book stuffed with representations of horror, but no actual genuine psychologically incisive scares. This is a terrible, terrible book. This is horror at its worst. It is signifiers of horror, but with absolutely nothing scary. I hate this book. It turns out, picking up a bunch of shit and throwing the shit at a wall and hoping something sticks is not a good strategy for writing a horror book, okay? So for all you horror writers, maybe that is a tip. You can have that one for free. You're welcome. On to the next one. So this book was one that I wanted to give 5 stars to because I'm a huge fan of the Throne of Glass series. Yes, you heard that right. I like Throne of Glass and I hated Dune. Please flame me in the comment section, thumbs down this video, unsubscribe, call me a bitch. I like that shit. Shit on me. I like it. So, Throne of Glass, right? I'm a huge Throne of Glass fan. So, I wanted to try out Sarah J. Maas's other series, and that's my review of the book we're about to read. I mean, of the book we're about to talk about. Excrement. Waste. And that book is called A Court of Thorns and Roses. I hated this book so much. So, Throne of Glass, right? I loved that book series so much. It was just so much action and fighting and bitchiness and action and magic, and it was epic and fast-paced. So I was like, okay, what else can Sarah J. Maas do? I regret asking. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, a very loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and we follow a girl named Feyre who kills a wolf in the woods, and apparently that wolf was a fairy, and she had broken a contract that she had never signed about humans not being allowed to kill fairies even though they're starving in the woods, and the fairy is in the disguise of the thing that the human hunts, and the human didn't have any intention of killing the fairy. That's a violation of clause number what the hell ever, okay? And she breaks this contract and is taken from her family and taken to this place called the Spring Court, where she and these 2 other guys and moan and rant about love and are passive aggressive to each other for 400 pages, and I wanted to stab that book with a fork. Stick a fork in it, it's dead. Because that book was torture to read from start to finish. I wanted Feyre, oh my goodness, Feyre kept painting. I wanted to take the paintbrush and kill her with it. I wanted her to die, and I wanted Tamlin and Lucian to for the next 200 pages, but that didn't happen. So I gave the book 1 star. I hated it so much, but I will say this, because for any of you who are wondering if I continued on with this series, I did, and I gave A Court of Mist and Fury 5 stars. How do these things happen? I don't know. So the next book I'm gonna talk about is one that I seem to think took literal years off my life reading this book, and that is Credence by Penelope Douglas. I did a full rant review where I got drunk. That's this video, and I'm gonna link that video down below. Basically, we follow this girl, and her parents commit, and because of that, she ends up living with her uncle and his 2 sons in an isolated house in the mountains of Colorado. And this book is smut, and she is underage, and her uncle is a 40-year-old perv, and his sons are also pervs. I think Penelope Douglas got bored in quarantine and wrote about all the weird shit she was into, because it was just so disgusting. It was super cringe, it was abusive, it was illegal, and it's not only not romance, it's bad porn. It did make for some good drunken content, which I'm gonna link down below. I don't know why this audiobook was 17 hours, and I don't know why we had to read from the perspective of her 40-year-old uncle. I could taste my breakfast reading that book, and it was just not a good time, and I don't even eat breakfast. The next book is a book that I actually thought I was gonna really like. I actually had really high expectations for this book because, again, some very smart friends of mine said it was really good, and this book is set during the beginning of COVID. So I was so pumped. I was like, wow, hey, this could be fun. It was not. And that book is 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard, and I hated this book with every single fiber of my being. It was abysmal. It was absolutely lazy writing. It was just awful. It was terrible. It was such a shame because I know that this author has it in them to be a really good storyteller, because I read their previous work called The Liar's Girl. I thought that book was amazing, but this book was absolutely atrocious. This book has the most awful, annoying protagonists I have ever read about. We basically follow this woman named Kiara and a guy named Oliver or something. I think his name was Oliver. And they meet at the beginning of lockdown and decide to be quarantine buddies. Obviously, it's a thriller, and she tries to build a very flimsy, boring thriller around these two people. And for so much of this book, literally nothing happens. We just watch them live their lives, and she keeps promising that something is gonna happen. But by the time that thing happens, I just wanted to burn the book alive and purify this thing with fire because it was such lazy writing. The only reason is in this story is to serve as a lazy plot device to keep these two together. Otherwise, they would just literally not be together for this long period of time that the story demands. The resolution was absolutely infuriating. We read from both their points of views, and we have to reread certain parts from the point of view of somebody else. So certain chunks of the novel are literally copy-pasted and placed in other parts of the novel. And there is a detective storyline that just felt so unnecessary. Literally, if you want to skim read this book, like if somebody lends you a copy, skip the detective points of view. You will miss nothing. You won't miss the plot in any way, shape, or form, okay? Okay, this is really easy, and y'all might just get pissed at me for putting this in, but I just had to, because I read this book for the first time this year, and now I get why people have the opinions of it that they do. And that book is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. So what's this book about, you may ask? So it's about a girl who is in high school, and she can't seem to walk in a straight line without tripping 50 million times. She loves metal music. Her skin is incapable of tanning, and because she's so pale, a vampire gets turned on and pursues her as a lover. Also, she never brushes her hair and washes her face, but by the end of the book, every single guy in that high school asked her out to prom. I don't know how that works. I never combed my hair in high school, and I might as well have not been enrolled in that high school because nobody paid attention to me, but somehow she got all the attention. I don't know. The vampire that falls in love with her, his name is Edward. He's like 1,000 years old, but insists on being in high school for some reason. I don't know, I think you'd get bored. Also, he has incestuous siblings, which was very disconcerting to me. And nothing happens in this book really until literally this far in. I wrote notes. I wrote down here, finally there is some plot. So thanks, Stephanie, I guess. Also, in the fourth book, there is straight up child bride shit with bestiality. I'm not even kidding. So the next book I'm gonna talk about is one that I am probably gonna piss a lot of people off with, but I don't care, let's do this. Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Yes, I praise Throne of Glass, but I shit on Dune and Six of Crows. Whatever. Anyway, so Six of Crows is this novel. It's set in this universe called the Grisha-verse, where people have superpowers. It's a book about a heist. I don't remember the plot. It was just not my thing. I was told that there was gonna be some gays. The gay level was just like insufficient. So yeah, just not my thing. And the last book I'm gonna talk about is another Leigh Bardugo book, because I do not understand. If you are a fan of Leigh Bardugo, I am so happy for you because I wanted so bad to enjoy this person's books because I wanted to get on the bandwagon hype train for Shadow and Bone on Netflix. I gave Six of Crows 2 stars, and I gave this fucking book, Shadow and Bone, 1 star because it was so terrible. It was so bad. So we follow this girl named Alina, and she is the plot is honestly so convoluted. I read this book at the beginning of the year and I don't remember a single thing that happened. I remember we have a girl named Alina and there's a guy named the Darkling and he's like hella sketchy from the first part. His name is the fucking Darkling. What? Hello? The opening of this book was actually really interesting when they go into the fold and there's like creatures and they're getting slaughtered. That was pretty epic. Nothing happens afterward and it was just, oh my goodness. She goes to this kingdom and they give her clothes and they keep fitting her in different clothes and these guys are pursuing her and there's a sort of love triangle between her and the Darkling and this friend of hers named Mal. And this Mal guy, I swear, this guy was so, his head was so far up Alina's ass. How do you break Mel's nose? Answer, you kick Alina's ass. Because that's how far his face is up it. Not a fan. I have no plans on seeing the Netflix show. So that was that. Thank you so much for watching. Like and comment and subscribe. As always, I hope to see you in future videos, but until then, take care. I lose myself